are back with another YouTube video, and I'm excited to talk about today's topic. We are talking about solo travel. So a lot of people ask me, Tiffany, oh my God, I can't believe you solo travel. And I'm like, yes, I do. And one of my main reasons for solo traveling is simply because I don't have time to wait on nobody when I get ready to go. A lot of people have a lot of different, I ain't gonna say excuses, but a lot of different reasons, if you may, of why they can't go. They can't get out time from work, they got kids, maybe they're a caretaker for their parents, maybe they just simply ain't got the money. Whatever the reason is, ain't nobody got time for that, okay? When I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go. So let's get straight into it. Today we're talking about solo safety tips for people that are traveling by themselves. That is the number one question. How do I make sure that I am safe? Honestly, there is nothing that can technically guarantee that you are going to be safe, but we are going to give you some safety precautions. And it is safe to say I have done a lot of solo trips, and I am here to tell you the story. So that means I was obviously safe when I went abroad and was able to come back home. But let's get into it so that when you travel next time, that you will be safe when you go wherever you go. And I know a lot of people ask me, what was my first solo trip, and my first solo trip was to Colombia. So I definitely recommend that. And let me know in the video if you want me to do a video just simply on great places to travel as a solo person or as a Black solo woman, and then we can do that video as well. Okay, so let's get into it. Our number one tip that we're going to start off with is enroll in the STEP program, okay? So the STEP program stands for Smart Traveler Enrollment Program. And so basically anytime you are traveling abroad, you are registering with the U.S. Embassy. So at least the embassy is alerted that you are going out of town. If anything occurs, at least they know where you're at. Some people don't do this and some people do it, but I highly recommend it anytime that you go. What's the reason of not being safe? So yeah, that is number one that we're going to start off with. Okay, number two is research your destination. I cannot say this enough. I don't understand. I'll see in a travel group and somebody posted something. I'm thinking, if you would have just done a little bit of research, then you would have realized that this was occurring. I have a quick example in Cuba. So I went to Cuba several years ago, but Cuba does not have ATMs that is dispensing money. So if you go there and you don't have enough cash, you're going to be in trouble. And so when I read that in the travel group, this lady was complaining that nobody told her that there was not an ATM machine in Cuba. And I'm like, hello, since when do you travel to any destination and not research and rely on somebody else? So that is making sure you do your research. Where are you going to stay at? What's the best neighborhoods to go into? What is there to do? What can you do if there is something that goes wrong? Have you connected with somebody out there? So please, please, please do your research before you get on somebody's plane to go anywhere, okay? And you can use that. You can research TripAdvisor, blogs, Facebook groups, social media. There's so many different resources of researching, so don't be lazy. Or you can go on a group trip with me and I'll do it all for you. But we talking about solo trips, so let me get back to what we're talking about. Anyway, our next one is pack light, okay? Women, I know you want to take 10 pairs of shoes, 20 bathing suits, 30 dresses. I know you want to pack and you want to be cute because you want to be prepared for anything. I'm kind of that way too. But I'm only taking one suitcase, okay? So are you going to be team carry-on or are you going to be team check-in? But either if you're team check-in, please only take one suitcase. I learned my lesson the hard way. I went to Ghana, and it wasn't a solo trip. It was a group trip. It was my first international trip, y'all. And I took 2 huge suitcases. Let me tell you what a disaster that was, okay? So I flew from LA to San Francisco, and they broke my luggage. I hadn't even left the country yet, and the luggage was broke. literally, as the ramp is coming around my luggage, there is pads falling out, my clothes are falling out. It was just ridiculous. And what did they give me as a compensation? They gave me a box, y'all. So I hadn't even left the country, had to travel with a box to Ghana. Worst thing ever. And then I stayed in Ghana for 6 weeks, y'all, and I didn't even use half of the stuff that I used. So packing light, maybe we should do a video on packing light as well. Choose one: a sandal, a tennis shoe, maybe a high heel, and another comfortable shoe, and that is it, y'all. Please, and especially if you're going from city to city, you don't want to be lugging all these things with you. And another thing, if you got all these things in your hand, that's a prime target for like somebody robbing you, because obviously if you have so much in your hand, you ain't gonna be able to run after this robber. Not that you should do that anyway, but I'm saying you're just drawing attention to yourself, and plus you need to be able to move when you need to move. Okay, move just like that. That's a song, right? Okay, anyway, moving on. So the next one we're gonna talk about is purchasing travel insurance. Okay, so purchasing travel insurance is something that you should do, because if anything goes wrong, even if the insurance can't necessarily help you in that direct moment, it's gonna help you afterwards. So say for example, I've had my luggage delayed before, and I needed to go shopping when I was in Spain, and so when I came back, I was able to be like, hey, let me put this paperwork in, I need my money. And so travel insurance is super important. And it's also like, if you get sick, and Lord forbid any of that happens, but if you need to be transported somewhere, this insurance will help you out. So make sure you get the insurance. I will link in the description box to an insurance company that I use so that you can check it out, okay? Next, we're going to talk about making copies of your passport. So you have your passport and you want to make a copy before you leave. So you're taking at least 1 or 2 copies with you, in addition to your real passport, of course. And then maybe you leave your another copy with your parents or family, so that way if anything goes wrong, they can send you a copy of the passport. And another thing is too, you don't need to carry your passport with you when you're going out on an excursion. Make sure you lock it up somewhere safe and just take the copy of the passport, okay? And you've heard of people losing their passport or it's getting stolen or different things like that. So it's better to actually have multiples around, so that way if you ever get caught up in something, we're gonna knock on wood that you don't, but if you do, let's be prepared, okay? Our next one is trust your gut. It's very simple. You know, women, we have an intuition, okay? So we are going to trust that gut instinct and go with intuition. If there's something that just doesn't feel right, then flow with that. Flow with that and be like, okay, this don't feel right. I need to go a different route. I need to do something else. For example, I was in Thailand and I wasn't solo. I was with my cousin, but we had met this guy on the plane who kept staring at us. And so I decided to be like, hello, how are you? You know, just to kind of break the ice, because I noticed that he was looking at us. And so he seemed to be like a cool guy. But then he asked a question. He was like, so how much money do you guys have on you? And I looked at my cousin. I was like, okay, them little tingly feelings whenever I'm like, okay, why would you be asking how much money we have? Now, I don't know if he was trying to do something or if he was just being inquisitive or he was just talking, but that was a red flag, and I trusted my gut, and I kind of shut that conversation down, because that's not something that we need to talk about. So if you're out at night and something just feels off or something like that, trust your gut, your instinct. And I will say, and I don't know if I should tell this story. I was in Niagara Falls, and I happened to be by myself. We had like started off with a group, and then somehow the group parted, and like again I was on my own anyway, and so like I had to get back to the hotel, and so I had to go under like a bridge passway, and I kid you not, when I say there was literally nobody out there, not a car, not a street, like not anything. So I'm literally like running past this bridge, turning around, running and like turning around, y'all. I was safe, but my gut instinct said I needed to get past this part very quickly, or I could have maybe waited until I saw somebody that was in the group. But mind you, I didn't know any of these people either. So again, just trust your instinct on these particular things, okay? Another one that we have is be cautious at nighttime. So, like, let's say for you're getting a flight, try to get your flight in the daytime. You don't want to land at 9, 10 o'clock unless you have to, but try not to do that. If you do want to go out at nighttime, I've been in Cartagena, Colombia solo, but I wanted to go out at nighttime, and so I met up with one of the girls, like, hey, let's go out. So I felt safe with both of us there. And then when we left, we were like, oh, okay, like, let's make sure we call each other when we like get back to the room, just so that you have somebody that's accountable with you. And then of course, when you talk about going at nighttime, I'm not a drinker, but I know some people like to drink. So if you're going to drink, just make sure that you're not getting tipsy or that nobody has to carry you home. Like, just make sure you limit that, especially when you are by yourself. Okay. Connecting with other women. It's important to connect with other women from the community that you're going to. There are expat communities there. You can connect with people through social media, Facebook, Instagram. I connected with a tour guide from Morocco. And it was great to be around her because it is rare for women tour guides in Morocco. So it was great to hear her perspective on what that means to her. And we still can't stay in contact to this day. She has a great singing voice, and so she will sometimes randomly send me voice singing messages or sing happy birthday to me. And so it's great to be connected with that. You know, it's girl power. Another way to stay connected is through your hostel. So finding people that you may not know and just having like this bonding session as a solo female traveler. Our next one is social media. So love social media. I'm addicted to social media. But be conscientious of what you're posting and when you're posting. I never post in real time, or I may post like when I'm going there, like pray for me on the plane. Because I need as many prayers as I can while I'm traveling. But I don't post a lot while I'm in the country, in the city, simply because I'm having too much fun and I can't focus on posting. But sometimes I'll post weeks after I'm gone. So people are like, Tiffany, I don't know where you at. Are you in LA? Are you in Africa? Are you in Morocco? Are you in Mexico? Where are you? And I just laugh because as a content creator, you got to stretch out that content. But that's another video. But I think it's important to not necessarily post in real time as well, because you got to think about your safety back at home. So if somebody knows you're not home, that's a prime time for thieves, right? So just be a little bit careful. But, you know, of course, post. Hey, why not? It's fun. Do it for the gram. Our next one is money. So make sure that you have money in different places. And what I mean by that is, like, let's say you bring, $500 in cash. You say, hey, I'm going to carry $200 with me. I'm going to put $100 in this part of my suitcase, another $100 in this suitcase, or you have multiple cards. So if you have one debit card, make sure you have a credit card, something like that, just so if anything happens to one, at least you have the other. Another great thing is to hide your money in a place that people won't think to look. Go ahead and wrap that up. Here's your little tampon, your little pad, wrap it up in there. Like, a robber's not gonna look in those type of things, so try to hide it wherever you can. The other thing is, let somebody know where you're at. So the good thing is that these phones have made it great to where we can do that. So for example, Uber has it where you can share your route. I think WhatsApp, you can drop your location. So there's different things you do on the device, but also just the people you're with. So at your hotel concierge, hey, I'm going out at nighttime. If by 2 o'clock I'm not back, can somebody try to reach out to me? Tell somebody back home where you're going. Leave them a text, a voicemail. And if you just want to post on social media, hey, I'm with these group of people. So at least there's some visual things going on so people know exactly where you're at. And it's just good for somebody to know. Our next one is how we dress and dressing moderately. And I say that because coming from America, we literally have a freedom of speech, a freedom of dress. If I want to be naked, there is a nudist resort or nudist beach that I can go to. But in some places, you have to be very, very cautious. So, for example, when I was in Morocco, At this Airbnb experience is a cooking class. The guy's the host, but it's at his mom's house. And so it was so hot that I decided to lift up my dress, which is a long dress, but I like put it up to my knees or something like that. And she gave me like the dirtiest look, and she said something in her language. And I knew at that point I was in trouble. I was like, oh shoot, let me go ahead and pull my dress. It's funny how even though you can't understand somebody's language while they're talking, you can understand a nonverbal cue real quick. They say that's one of the ways people communicate, and I caught the drift right there. And then also in Thailand, we didn't have sleeves on our dresses, so we had to buy a scarf. So maybe take a scarf with you just in case you have to cover up your legs, you have to cover your arms, something like that. And plus you want to blend in. You don't really want to stick out. People already know that you're not from the country, so make sure you can stick in as much as possible. And as we're talking about clothes, let's talk about jewelry really quickly. So I wouldn't take your bling bling. I wouldn't take your diamonds. You see, I wear costume jewelry. If you want to pretend like you have a diamond, take a cubic zirconia. But leave the flashy stuff at home. It's just really not necessary to have it there. So just be conscious of the culture of where you're going to. Next is I would never tell anybody to lie, because I don't think that's correct or that's right. But people will wear like a wedding ring on their finger just to show like, hey, to try to ward off guys or advances. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes not. Hey, you know. But another thing is like, you don't have to tell everybody every location. You don't have to tell people the location or where you're staying or the exact address. You don't need to say, oh, I'm staying at 1545 South Street. Like, don't say all that. Like, just kind of be low key with everything. You don't want to be on Taken. And if y'all seen that movie, that's exactly what happened. They got comfortable with these guys and they telling everything. So these people that took them knew exactly where to go. And so we don't want to just give away the information. I personally tell people that I'm traveling solo, but that's another recommendation. If they ask, some people say don't say anything or say that I'm traveling with another person. So it's up to you of how you handle that particular situation. Another thing that I will say is don't push yourself beyond your limits. And what I mean by that is, I think I mentioned drinking before, but if you want to drink, take one drink. You don't have to take 10 drinks. Be careful of watching your surroundings, like make sure nobody puts anything in there. Let's say you're going on a hiking trip and it gets too much, you're breathing hard. Tell the guide, hey, I need to stop. I need to take a breather. Another thing is eating correctly, making sure you're eating all the time and staying hydrated. So just don't go beyond those limits. Sometimes we push ourselves on vacation. Yes, I agree in pushing yourself, but don't push it to the point where it becomes unsafe for you as a solo traveler. Remember, you are there by yourself. You don't have anybody to help watch and take care of you. And then lastly, just some essential things that you could take with you or bring with you. That would be great. Some of these things are on Amazon. So they have this whistle that if you blow it, it makes this weird sound. So of course people are wondering where this sound is and they're like, hey, what's going on? Another thing is yell fire. I feel like that's a good way. If people want to get away from the fire, so they're going to run and see what's going on if you're in these predicaments where you just feel like super unsafe. Another gadget is a door stopper. They have door stoppers that you can buy on Amazon that you stick in the door, so if anybody tries to break in, they will not be able to get in. They have things that you could put on the top of the door, sort of like a chain stopper as well. I kid you not, just Google travel safety tips for Amazon and I'm sure there's a lot of gadgets that actually will come up. You can take maybe like a flashlight if it's dark in case your battery runs out. Then you have a flashlight elsewhere. Remember to take like a portable charger. Like those things are important. We all know we're out taking pictures and the phone dies very quickly, so you always need to have that phone charged up in case you need to use it. Also, a money belt. A money belt is great because people will try to snatch your things. If the money belt is underneath you, they're not going to try to mess with you. And they also have purses that are sharp resistant. So, you know, people try to slash and then take the stuff. They have actual things for that. So make sure you get something like that. Also, like download the offline version of Google Translate or the offline version of Maps, because if you're stuck, don't know the language, at least you can go to Google Translate for help. And yeah, so these are some of the things that I think that could be helpful for you to take on your trip. I hope you found this very resourceful. And sis, go on that solo trip. Do not allow anybody to stop you from going. Oh, it's unsafe. You can't do that. Yes, there's danger everywhere. There's danger right in the city that you're in. So, hey, why not go solo? Again, I encourage everybody to try it at least once. If you got to start off small, going like domestically first or going to a staycation, whatever you do, I say go for it and try it. I know you're nervous. I know you're scared, but we're kicking fear in the behind. And we are going to accomplish our bucket list, which is traveling solo. So again, hope you use these tips. Let me know if I missed anything, or let me know if there's something that you use that I didn't talk about, and maybe we can have a part 2. But anyway, I hope this video was fun, entertaining, but educational and resourceful as well. All right, sis, remember, take that solo trip. All right, I want to hear all about it. All right, see y'all later. Peace.